Namaste. Welcome to another episode of six-part series of China's food security dilemma. And in this video, we'll discuss one of these points. And if you haven't watched the previous videos or other videos, please go to the link in the description and you can watch some of the points I have covered. So without wasting our time, let's go. This is the last point of this entire video series. And before we go to the geopolitical landscape, that simply means the global standing of China and how it can be impacted, because China has a lot of import. I like to tell you some positive things so far. And the Chinese government, because of their efforts in the past few years or a decade, are able to increase the yield of their crop. They're able to increase the production, and they're able to do a lot of things which we discussed. They're able to increase, but the dietary preferences of their populations and the ever-growing population and their the mix-up and their demand for food is keep on growing. So the Chinese government have to keep on importing, and they are dependent on import. They're heavily dependent on imports, and even despite they are growing one of the, I think, largest fish producers, they are exporting those fish, some percentage of it, not not all of it is being consumed in China. So because consumer has a different preferences, so a lot of analysts have told that even though China is trying to change and they're trying to become food secure, but it may take a decade or maybe two. So the China has to continue dependent on import substitutions, and they try to create land lease, like they try to acquire land in different countries for growing uh, crop, cultivating cultivating those other grains. But it created a lot of problems, like Austria type protest, where Australian government cancelled. They claim that it's against the sovereignty of Australia to grow things in Australia and sell it to China, something like that. So this is going to create a this efforts is not entirely not entirely fulfilled so far. I think it may fulfill, but in my view, it's yet to be seen. And China is having a maritime disputes. See, you know about South China Sea disputes happening, and considering some part of uh, the coastline in near China has practically no fish because the consumption is so high of certain type of fish. So the Chinese fishermen or the fishing boats are going into different parts of the world, and sometimes they're encroaching upon the I think economic zone, exclusive economic zone. Sorry, and lot of countries complained about illegal activities of Chinese fishing trawlers. So this is creating maritime disputes. Again, it's going to create a overall standing of China. And now this is a very interesting point. It's called fragile supply chain. This happens because of conflict in Ukraine. In 2022, Ukraine and Russia are two biggest grain supplier. I think wheat grain suppliers of the world, and China was buying a lot of grain from Ukraine to fulfill the need of its growing population. And as the conflict started, the supply from Ukraine has impacted. It was impacted. So there's a fragile supply chain, and China importing for other countries through sea routes. It's again a fragile. It can have, considering China is now in a bitter geopolitical disputes with the United States, America. So there is always probability of the choke points, some places of the sea lands which can be blockade, and that can impact on China's food security. That if the ship is coming from certain parts of the world and the U.S. Navy blockade or some other Navy blockade, then it's going to impact China's food security. So that's a dilemma China has, and that's also a problematic. And they're trying to solve it. So they're trying to solve it by creating large storage capacity. So they're buying in a large amount, and they're also creating large storage capacity to create a buffer for I don't know, 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, something like that. So I don't know the numbers, but they are creating large storage capacity to store the uh, certain types of products. And they are trying direct route like they did with Russia. So Russia was not traditionally exporting huge amounts of things to China. They're exporting to other parts of the world as well as to European nations. But China and Russia shares the border, and they created better routes for Russian grains to come to China, thereby ensuring some level of food security. And China's Belt and Road Initiative is also one of the ways where China is actually able to create influence in those countries so that they will export their products to China in return of China's providing them the loans, infrastructure, and all sorts of facilities. So they are doing, and of course, so that's called long-term contracts. And China is trying to secure access. Now, secure access again the same with direct routes, and also directly dealing with the countries and having a how do I say friendly relationship with those countries. So they are trying to secure long-term supply. And there's one more point, which this is another point which is controversial because I really don't know if it's not established fact. It's just a speculation by certain commentators that China has the control of World Food Organizations. A lot of Chinese people are sitting on the board of those global institutions, and based on it, China is trying to create a program for growing food in turn, which is going to help China, right? So they are creating the program which of course it's about growing the food, but in turn in a way China wants them to grow. So they are directly going taking their paths back to China. Now, where does India fits into all of this? What we can learn from this that we also depend on import. Like I said, the dietary preferences in India, we are having the food which was not traditional, or it was not there in our plate up until a decade ago. So, and because of let's say continuous supply of items from different parts of the world, certain food items which were seasonal now appearing in our plates whole year. That is creating a dependence, which is again a problematic. As such it's not a problem because it's a part of it's a plus points of being part of a global supply chain, that we can have our favorite food every time of the world. But it may create a problem geopolitical if some sort of disputes happen, and we have problems. So India can help China, I think, if India and China resolve their border disputes and China agree to India's demands on a reasonable level, and then India produce surplus food, and after fulfilling the needs of our population, we may be able to export that food, and we may be able to ensure China's food security in some way, again based on how China agreed to our demands to resolve the border. Based on that conditions we agree, or the government of India agree, then I think it's possible because China and India also share a border. So it's very easy to do trade compared to what China is buying from a large different countries very far away, using sea lanes which can be choked, which can be blocked, which can create food in scarcity, and a lot of problems. So I think a lot of people who have a very negative view about India, they should be happy that we are a food secure nation. A lot of people, government, scientists, our previous generation worked very hard to reach that place. We were in the same position as China, food scarce. We had a problem of food that we had to get by, but now we have food, sufficient food, and I think we should as a young generation keep working to maintain that thing. Thank you for watching this video, and you can watch more videos of the same series either in the link given in the descriptions. And if you like this video, please share it with others. If you want to know more about India-China relationship from the Indian perspective, or a geopolitical from Indian perspective, please subscribe to my channel. And till the next video, namaste.